Welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, great month, great year, great rest of a couple of years. Except for 2020, we can all agree that 2020 simply did not exist, right? Alright, cool. In today's video, I'm basically just going to be talking about what's it like being a first generation student. I want to talk about the struggles that I faced and things that I learned and what I want to tell my 18-year-old self before coming to college. Alrighty, let's jump right into the video. Before I even tell you about my struggles and overall what I felt, I think I should really tell y'all what is a first generation student. So the definition that I'm going to be using is coming from the Center for First Generation Students website, and it says often first generation students are categorized simply as those who are the first in their family to attend college. A first generation is the first person basically to in their family to be able to go to college and the first one to attend college. That is basically the underlying of what a first generation college student is. So then here are some facts that I found about first generation student. These are also all coming from the Center for First Generation Students website, and all of this data is coming from 2014. So it's not the most up-to-date data, but for the most part this is what they're offering, what I found for data. And the first one I want to bring up is financial aid usage. And between continuing students and first generation students, continuing students are basically their family has gone to college, someone that they in their immediate family or in their family has attended college, and then just continuing that line of going to college. So that is what a continuing student is. All right. So the fact that I'm going to bring up is the financial aid usage. And the financial aid usage is higher amongst the first generation students compared to the continuing students. And that makes sense in that for the continuing students, they've already gone through that hassle. They already know what school costs and what to do and how to get that money. And compared to the first generation students, this is the first time for them. For me, it was definitely the first time looking at financial aid package, figuring out how I'm gonna pay for school, and I definitely use financial aid here on this campus. When I attended school here, there was no way I was gonna be able to pay school out of pocket like that, and this is something that I could really agree with here. That financial aid usage is really high. Like the financial aid office knows my name by now, and because I'm constantly there trying to get help, as much help as I need. The second fact that I've also found that is also coming from the Center for First Generation College Student is, as well as academic services usage is lower amongst the first generation students, and that also has to do with advising. And I sort of agree with that in a sense, and that makes sense. And it sort of makes sense. My fault if I'm stumbling up on my words, but I can testify that as the first, like when it came to going to office hours, going onto like campus resources like writing rooms and stuff like that for papers, I never used those services, to be honest, because I'm gonna be real with y'all, I was more or less scared to go up there. Back then where I was in my old school in high school and stuff, your teachers would help you. Like for my most part, for my high school career, it was a lot of like handheld where teachers were on you. So this was the first time that I was basically left to my own accord to do things on my own. And when it came to using those like academic services, like going to those writing shops and stuff like that, I really didn't use that. I never popped up to those spaces whatsoever. I really just stayed to my dorm, did my work, and if I struggled, I struggled. And that's pretty much true to this thing. The third fact that I'm going to be bringing up is coming from the Post-Secondary National Policy Institute, and it says that as well as non-white students were more likely than white students to be first generation students. And then here are some numbers to back up the claim. 32% of black students and 48% of Hispanic students were first generation students compared to 28% of their white students. So for the most part, you can really tell that your first generation student is basically someone who is either a person of color or simply not white, and someone who is from a lower income community, someone who doesn't have enough money and simply just doesn't have the experience compared to their other white counterparts where they've known somebody that's gone to college, or they've had that exposure to being around college. They already know what it's like. They've had an older sibling most likely going to that. And for most generation college students, that was not a reality. College was basically an afterthought for most. There wasn't something that was in the plan to say. Again, I'm not speaking for all first generation college students. I'm just speaking as to what I personally felt and just things that have happened into my life and my journey through college. So I fit this category very well. Both of my parents came from the Dominican Republic, and ever since they touched ground here, it's been pretty much go. They've been working their entire life and just finding a way to support themselves and their growing family. And school was much of a dream for them than an actual reality. It was something that they wanted to do, but it was something that was merely impossible when they had to work, take care of a family, and do all this other things. My entire life, my parents told me that the reason why they came to the United States is to give me a better education and a better life that they had. And being a first year college student wasn't the first time that I was truly doing something on my own. So given that both of my parents immigrated here, their English wasn't the greatest, and their idea of schooling and what schooling to them in the Dominican Republic were something that were completely, totally different. Schooling to them is basically you sit there, the teacher talks to you, you go home. And schooling here is more like a little bit hands-on, sort of. Again, my school was more a little bit hands-on, and that wasn't like an example I can give you right here is just the parent-teacher conferences. My parents really did not show up to many of them at all. And for the most part, they weren't able to show up because, again, they were working those long hours to be able to support themselves. And when it came to coming to school for them, it basically meant I'm going to school because you're in trouble. The reason why they're calling me down is because you're in trouble, and not because they're congratulating me for something. That's basically how they saw school. So from kindergarten to 12th grade, my parents, I can tell you on the count of a hand, they probably attended 5 parent-teacher conferences in those times that I've been through school. But that was for lower education where things weren't as complicated to say. What I mean by the things weren't as complicated compared to school is, K to 12, you wake up, go to school, do your schoolwork, then they report back, and it's simple as that. It's not like, of course, you're growing as a person, but you're not having like a lot of outside factors that are really affecting you and what's going on. And yeah, and another thing that really what happened is there will be a loss of translation. Something that I would say in English wouldn't translate the same in Spanish, or simply because that word just simply doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist in the Spanish vocabulary. So it wasn't the first time that I was really trudging along this by myself, going through my school career by myself, and just being the parent essentially to myself. I want to bring up this quote before I talk about what college was like. The term first generation implies the possibility that a student may lack the crucial culture capital necessary for college success because their parents did not attend college. I've never felt the lack of culture capital until I set foot on campus here. For the most part, I grew up in an environment where people look like me, talk like me, and we all had the same we all had similarities in our life that connected us so well. Going to a predominantly white campus, I was really lost in my element. This was a moment I felt what my parents felt like when they came to the country for the first time. All eyes are on you. There's nobody that understands how you feel. It was tough, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I had similarities in music taste, movies, and like the superficial stuff, but like what was really lacking for me was just like the overall similarities and like the same experience that connected everybody from my hometown together and basically made it home. And I was really lost essentially, and there was really nothing I could explain to them how I was feeling, but there's not an amount of explanation that you're gonna get until you actually feel what I was feeling through. I began to see that most of my peers were able to talk about their parents when they were able to talk to their parents about school stuff, like what papers they were writing, what projects they were doing, and just like, you know, what they were up to with their friends, what they were doing, and like typical college things, and they're able to talk about it, have fun, and their parents were able to share stories with them and just tell them, like, give them help, advice, and even help them on their papers and such. And I never saw that. Whenever I would call my dad about something, when I would call parents about something, it would mostly just be, are grades okay? Good. All right. Have fun. It's not like I didn't want to tell my parents like what was happening in my college career, what I was doing. It's just like, if I'm going to tell them, they're just simply not going to understand exactly how I feel. I can explain to them and tell them, but truly how I feel in the position that I am, they're never gonna get that feeling, understand that. To me, being a first generation student is really just finding your true identity and coming to the person that you want to be in these new experiences that you're seeing. Again, this is something that no one other than your family has shared with you. You are the one experiencing these new things. You're the one that can dictate if you're doing something correct or not. There's really nobody telling you that you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You're the one that's breaking that wall, going through it, and doing things on your own for the first time, and it's pretty much scary. Being a first generation is having more drive and passion to see the end goal, because you're going to be the first one to finally feel the feelings. Like, you're more motivated, you're more driven, you want to see it completed, because you're going to be the first one. Again, like I said, you're the first one to complete school. You want to see that degree, you want to be able to walk on stage, you want to be able to prove it. It's not like saying to the continuing generation, like the continuing students, where they already seen the degrees on the walls, they've already gone through that place, so they know what's in store. For me, this is something that's totally brand new. This is something I'm never going to experience. This is something that I'm experiencing for the first time. It's scary, weird, and I just don't know how to really explain that to my parents, and that's pretty much is. And if there's anything that I've learned, is that even though my parents aren't gonna fully feel what I feel being in college and the situation that I'm going through, what I've learned is that they're more scared of the situation that I'm in than I am, if that makes any sense. They want me to succeed and they want me to do the best that I can, but they're also scared that, you know, they didn't get the chance to be in school, so they don't know pretty much what's happening out there. And if there's anything that my present self would tell my past self before stepping on campus, it would be, take every single opportunity that is given to you, no matter what it is. Take it and do it. Looking back at it now that I'm a senior, there are definitely a lot of opportunities I wish I took, and would have had a better, more of an experience than I would have, instead of being in my room doing my work and just, you know, being a normal student. Like, definitely would be to take the experiences, go out, have fun, go out with your friends, don't be in your room, just take every single opportunity. I don't know how much to stress this enough. Take every single opportunity that is given to you. Alright, y'all, thank you for taking the time and hearing me talk about my experiences. I know it's not the greatest, it's not the most polished video, but I'm trying, and this is just me sitting on a mic talking to y'all and just telling how I feel about things in my life. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate every single one of y'all for taking the time again. I really do. And if you have any experiences that you guys want to tell me, if you are a first generation college student, let me know. I want to know what you've been going through, and I want to know if we share the same experiences as well. Alright, guys, I hope you have a fantastic week, fantastic rest of your day, and fantastic rest of your month. See you guys next time.